So I just got back from an early advance screening of Escape Room 2 Tournament of Champions. This movie doesn't come out till tomorrow, I believe. So I got to see it a day early, and I watched the first movie yesterday in advance because I was watching the sequel tonight. And so the first movie was fresh in my mind going into this movie, and I was excited to see a sequel. I was glad that they announced a sequel, and and Adam Robitel, who was the director of the first Escape Room, that he was going to come back, and our answers to the questions that we were left with at the end of the first movie were going to be answered. I had high expectations for that, and I was curious to see where our sequel would go, because I think the ending of the first movie, it had potential. It had potential for an interesting sequel and for an interesting concept and idea for where a sequel could potentially go. And some of the ending of the first movie, it does apply to this. Like, there is a more technology side of the rooms that the characters go into. Like, one of the rooms has to deal with lasers, and that's a really like cool looking trap. It's a really intense trap as well. But yeah, anyways, yeah, let's get into it. I'm not gonna talk much about this movie because there's only so much I can say for a non-spoiler review since the movie isn't out yet. I'm gonna try and keep this as very small detail as I can, if not like no detail at all. Because yeah, like, I want to respect my viewers that want to go and see this movie. But yeah, as for my thoughts on Escape Room 2, this movie is nowhere near as good as the first one. Which, like, that pains me to say, because I love the first movie. I mean, I've seen it many times. I own it on DVD, and I really like, for a January release in 2019, that movie wasn't actually too bad. But where this movie lacks the most is, first off, it being like a sequel, because the first movie, as far as production value and set design and budget, it feels much higher than this sequel did, because all of the rooms in Tournament of Champions, it feels very, what's the word? It feels very small. It feels very small scale. These rooms. It doesn't really feel like they're trying to go for anything bigger and better as horror sequels should do. It just stays it stays below the first movie. Like, this still, like, the what is it, like the bar pool room in the first one, the upside down room in the first movie. Like, that is still the best room in this entire series, like, by far. Now watching the sequel, that is still by far my favorite room, because it's such an interesting idea. Just from like what you're seeing, is interesting, and it was just, it was a really cool room. What else can I say about this movie? This one has a small little twist at the end, which I don't know how I'll talk about the twist, but yeah, this is a movie you need to watch the first movie in order to understand certain things that go on, and the twist plays a big part in that. I can't say much more besides that about the twist, but the twist I actually liked. I can see the twist being very controversial and being very divided among the horror community and the thriller community, because I feel like the twist, it's not gonna hit the same for everybody. But for me, having the first movie fresh in my mind, it does make sense why they did what they did with it. It's not the best twist, but I think as far as execution, they do a decent enough job at doing. Okay, yeah, I don't want to say much more because I feel like I'm gonna, like, something's accidentally gonna slip the tongue. I'm gonna spoil the movie for you all, but so yeah, the twist I actually liked, but you may view it differently when you see it. Um, what else can I say? The acting in this movie, I also, like, really like the actors. especially our returning cast. Like, they have a really strong character this time around. There's a really cool story. Like, one of what was her name? Zoe. She's having therapy sessions now, and that's a really cool continuation. Due to some of the stuff she's already seen in her life from the first escape room, so it makes sense. I really like that story direction for her character. Intensity in this movie, if there's one area where an escape room movie should succeed, it's the intensity. And while there are some scenes in this movie where there is a small amount of intensity, for me, the first movie was much more effective. There was much more at stake than this one. Like, I don't know, this is like, as far as the puzzle, was like, it didn't seem like... Okay, here's the reason why I think the puzzles or the rooms weren't as, weren't as effective for me as in the first movie, is because with these new characters, like, I didn't have that connection. I didn't really feel for them, which I feel like brought... If I knew these characters well, I feel like the intensity would be really damn good in this movie, and that's why the first movie works so well for me. Is because I know these characters. Like we know some of the characters' backstories, and we know how they all got there. And while in this movie it's similar, but it's just, yeah, the intensity. It's just I didn't feel intense in this movie. I mean, there was maybe a small amount of intensity, like in the laser puzzle that they did early on in the movie. There was maybe a small amount of intensity I felt watching that sequence. But yeah, as far as the other puzzles, I mean, it's just I don't know what it was like. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is a movie that I felt like in the end, this movie was disappointing because, like, another thing I wanted this movie to do is the questions that were set up for us at the end of the first movie. They aren't answered. They aren't answered in this movie. We don't learn who the big game master behind this, who's been controlling this game. Like, none of those questions that were at the end of the first movie are explained in this movie. And I feel like as a sequel, it is your job to answer those questions. Because this movie really thinks that there's going to be a third movie, which after seeing this one, I don't know if I want to see a third escape room. Because, like, I didn't enjoy this one. Like, maybe if I go back and watch it a second time, maybe now I've seen it, my expectations, I'll be able to go in and just see the vision. But even as a sequel, this movie isn't the greatest. But, you know, it was an okay watch. If you're a fan of the first movie, I would say, like, skip it. But if you just, if your friend tags you along to this movie and you just want to have, like, a fun time at the movies, this movie, like, it's definitely a good theater going experience. But if you really like the first escape room and you're going to a sequel wanting answers, you're not going to get jack shit of that here, because none of those questions are answered. Which, like, when this movie ended, I was just like, what? Like, where are my answers? Like, I felt like I came to a sequel wanting to see that. But yeah, that was not there. I'm sorry I have to complain about this, but I hate to death when sequels do this, is they recap the entire first movie in the first 5 minutes of the sequel. Like, I hate that to death. Like, for a movie called Escape Room 2, like, it's a sequel, it's attached to an already existing first movie. So why the hell would you go see a sequel without watching the first movie? Because you would obviously know that you're going to be absolutely lost in the story that's being told. So I just don't know. Like, there's an entire 5-minute sequence where it recaps the first act, the second act, and the third act, and the ending of the first escape room. Like, basically the entire movie in the most shortest amount of time. It tells you beat for beat what that first movie was about. It tells you the ending of the first movie. So apparently the people who haven't seen the first movie will understand what's going on. Like just why would you see a sequel if you haven't seen the first movie? And, like, I feel like it's pretty common knowledge among all audiences. But yeah, this movie, just like when this movie started, I had a feeling that this movie wasn't going to be good, due to that the movie doesn't trust its audience if it thinks it needs to recap the entire first movie for you, because that movie came out in 2019. Like, viewers and audiences may have forgotten what have happened. Bullshit. Like, bullshit. No, like that is not an excuse. Anyone who wants to see a sequel, they have the first movie, and guess what? Like, you can easily rent that. You can rent it and watch it watch the first movie a night before, like I did. It's just like I don't get it. I don't get it. I found it pointless. Like, for myself, like some people that might help, but it's, yeah, I mean, it's just, I hate when horror movies do that. But yeah, what else can I say about this movie? But yeah, like, I feel like I've said what I've had to say about this movie. Like, it wasn't the greatest. It was a fine first watch. I'm going to watch it a second time, just to see if I can maybe like it a little bit better, because like I went into this movie like really wanting to like it, and I came out just disappointed with the result, and it being a sequel to a much better first movie. I was just like damn, it's yeah. So yeah, this movie didn't really do much for me. As I'm talking to you guys now, I don't recall many sequences in this movie, and I don't think I will. Yeah, like, I would say skip this one. Like, if you really want to watch it, like, do so, but I would stick with the first one. But yeah, anyways, like, yeah, that's just my opinion. You guys watch it for yourselves. You might have a different opinion to me, but yeah, we will see. But anyways, guys, yeah, they are my quick thoughts on Escape Room 2 Tournament of Champions. Once you've seen Escape Room 2, let me know down in the comments, like, what did you think of it? I'm curious to know what you do think of it, because this is definitely going to be a divided sequel. I can see it being divided in the whole community. So yeah, I'm curious to know what you guys have to say about this one. Yeah, so anyways, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, or night, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, bye.